All right, so this is going to be part two of our earthquake in Bangkok experience. Our camera died last time, and this is just going to be the second part and where we are now. Tomorrow will make 1 week since the earthquake, and we have been out of Bangkok ever since. We are currently in Koh Larn, an island off the coast of Pattaya. Um, and yeah, you kind of caught us in Pattaya, but then now we've been at this other place, and just really focusing on processing still and figuring out what our next steps are going to be for our apartment, which we have to go back to tomorrow.
So where do we leave off in part one?
I think that the camera shut off when we were running, like when we were running out of the building. So just to summarize, we were running down the stairwell, and Lauren was ahead of me. I was behind her, maybe by a floor and a half. She is coaching me the whole way through, like, baby, let's go, come on.
As long as I heard, so since we're the only ones in the stairwell, I'm hearing her footsteps. So as long as I'm hearing her footsteps, I know she's behind me. But I remember at one point, I stopped hearing her footsteps and I called out to her and she answered back. And I'm like, okay, like, let's go, keep going.
Yeah, you stopped hearing my footsteps because I was falling.
You fell?
I was falling, like I'm skipping down steps. I'm missing steps. I'm like twisting my ankle. I'm doing like all of that. I'm not pitter pattering. I'm like leaping, because that's when I was seeing the cracks and stuff form on the wall. That's when I was like, oh.
Yeah. Gratefully, I did not see that stuff. I just was like, get out of the building. We're gonna get out. We're gonna get out. And so we reached the fourth floor.
That's the floor I finally caught up to you on. And when I saw you, you were like really trying to push the door open and it was locked, like panicking. And then you asked, like, then you heard a guy scream, like something. And then you're like, how do you get out? I remember that. And that's when I went looking, because I saw the exit sign above us and I was like, it has to be around here. And then I saw another set of stairways.
I was so thankful, man. So yeah, we got out, and that was the part where when we got out, it that part was just like, oh, okay.
Seeing the light at the end of the tunnel was like, oh my gosh, I'm there.
And at this point, I'm still thinking that it was a construction situation. I'm thinking the construction people at our building or in front of our building made a mistake. But when we went outside, it wasn't just our building that had evacuated. When we walked further to the sidewalk, like from our building up the driveway to the sidewalk, and we continued to walk, we realized that there were people outside from other buildings as well. And as we were talking to people who just arrived in Bangkok that day with their suitcases in hand, they the ones who told us that it was an earthquake.
For up until I want to say 5 to 10 minutes after we got out of our building, I really thought that it was a street issue. I thought that that something happened in the construction that's in the center of a main street, and I'm thinking that this street is about to cave in. Something's going on. Like, I'm like, we need to get off this street because all these buildings around us can collapse down, and I'm like, we don't need to be in the midst of all that.
Yeah, I can't, this is our first time experiencing an earthquake, and that's probably why we didn't think that it was an earthquake. That didn't even cross my mind.
It didn't.
Until we talked to those people. And so as we're talking to people and I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, like as he's saying it was an earthquake. Yes. As he's saying it was an earthquake, I'm looking around and there's people who literally are in their drawers, literally in socks, no shoes. People just looking crazy. Like no one planned to come outside. And as we're walking around, I kind of feel my body kind of just shaking, doing this panicky thing. Just, I can't believe that this just happened. I can't believe I was that close to just, in your mind, inside the building, you don't know what's going on the outside. So all you know is what's happening to you
in that real time. Exactly. And you know that the building is moving.
And you like, buildings don't move.
Yeah.
Why am I unable to stand up straight? Why are there cracks in the building?
Why is it making
I thought it was rumbling? Just gonna
like for real though. For real.
Anyway, we got out that piece and we haven't been back since. We stayed at so that night, March 28th,
we stayed
at a 24-hour cafe. So We stayed away from our building for about 4 to 5 hours. And after that, it was clear for us to go back into our building. So we walked back to our building, upstairs, to get our things. Because now, before we had a game plan on what we wanted to grab. So when we entered back into our condo, Natalie grabbed our important documents. I grabbed us clothes and everything like that. And we hurry up and shoved things away, and we left.
Because we didn't have anything when we ran. We ran for our lives. So we left everything.
No wallet, no money.
Nothing. And it was very clear. It was very clear once we got out that we wouldn't be able to get far without having those documents, without having cash, without having a charger. Like, there's only so much you can do when you don't have any of that stuff with you in a foreign country. So we had to go back.
Yeah. One thing, when we decided to leave, we were like, in our minds, it's not because of the damage that was to our apartment. It's not because, like, the sole reason why we did not return inside of our condo is we were scared out of our minds. To put ourselves back into that condo and to go to sleep and to go back to normal and take showers again and be on the 12th floor.
And feeling like you're rocking, just like...
And in the back of your mind, you just think like, man, a couple of days ago, we would have just been rubble. A few days ago. So my mind cannot sleep.
And then you also have that in combination with seeing that there was a building that did crumble in Bangkok, potentially due to unfit steel. And hear me, this is me. What contractor did this building use? Did they use the same contractor? Did they use the same material? How do we not know? How do we know for sure that if a strong aftershock comes about or another earthquake happens, how do we know for sure that this building is going to stand straight up? We don't.
And that's the thing. They want us to believe. They want us to calm down and they want us to rush through our process of dealing with such a traumatic situation. And what communication we've been having with the building and everybody is acting as if this is normal. And this is not normal. They want us foreigners to go right back into our condos and keep paying rent. They don't want to hear conversations about give us back our deposit. They don't want to hear conversations about I'm having like traumatic situations going on up here, and all you care about is, well, there's not much damage in the condo. It's an easy fix. Like, that's not. I need a peace of mind, man, and I'll never have a peace of mind here.
Like 4 hours after the earthquake, our building was cleared by engineers saying that it was structurally sound. And I'm like, what can you do? First of all, what can you do in 4 hours in terms of all of what contributes to a building structure?
Like, how do you... No, it's going to take days to really check below, underneath the surface, right? You're not just... What do they call it when it's just on the surface? It's called not hardware, software, but no, like, I don't know how to explain
like
it.
Cosmetic?
Yes, there you go. Thank you. They're looking cosmetically. Like, I've seen them. Our building sends us pictures of what the engineers are doing as far as checking the building, and they're just checking cosmetically what's on the walls, what's on the ceilings. Like, yes, they're in the electricity room and things like that, but there's a lot of the building that you just cannot see. The cracks that happen in our apartment is beneath the wallpaper. You're gonna have to tear the wallpaper to see it. And like, my point is, you can't really see the damage until, what if another quake happens or something happens, and then the building do crash this time.
And so that's the thing with what I'm noticing with the Thai, not just government, but just what they're doing in terms of checking these buildings.
They like to put band-aids on stuff.
They are giving an overwhelmingly like, oh, if any buildings built after 2007 are built to withstand earthquakes. I actually came across. I
heard buildings after 2007 can't stand earthquakes.
I
heard it the other way around.
Yeah, I heard
that anything built after 2007 was like a rush job.
No, the news article I saw was 2000, anything built after 2007 is good. They're saying that the old buildings, though they may not have cracks and stuff like that, may be more structurally unsound because they can have a sudden collapse. Like basically, these buildings did what they were supposed to do. They bent and stuff like that. So their main structure is okay, but it's just the cosmetic stuff that's all cracked. That's what they're saying.
How many earthquakes does it take to make something
exactly
to structurally sound? If you're only judging things by, oh, it's still standing.
Exactly. I'm like, it's still standing on solid ground, but can you verify? Can you with all your might know that if an earthquake of this magnitude happens again into this building, can it stay? Is this building not already compromised? Yes or no? So Thai contracts, rental contracts have a clause called force majeure, which is loosely defined as basically any act of God, anything that you can't control, any natural disaster that occurs is grounds for the contracts, the contract's clauses to be basically void. However, since it's so loosely defined as, when can force majeure be put into place, this is where we are kind of sitting in when it comes to our landlord. Yes, our contract says any natural event, well, we should get our thing back. But our landlord is bringing up, well, not our landlord, our realtor is bringing up that the landlord's only duty is to make sure that the place is habitable. And then you're defining, what does habitable mean? They're focused on habitable meaning what it looks like, making sure that there's no cracks. Like, are you able to live in it, right? And so we are arguing that's not the only thing that makes something habitable. Something habitable also means the fact that we feel safe in the building, that we are not in an active repair zone, which this is now part of.
We're still getting over a natural disaster.
And yeah, something that's habitable for us is something that allows us to feel safe. And since this is a building that where a major where we are experiencing PTSD, post-traumatic stress, this building is no longer
habitable
for us. If you're considering emotional and mental aspects. And that's the thing, that's what we're trying to argue with our landlord / our realtor. We think that we have a right.
Exactly.
They did give us one offer, which we said no to because they're trying to negotiate the terms of.
They're trying to take a percentage from our deposit to cover, rent or cover anything when we are not responsible for this natural disaster. We have never been late. We've never been, we never breached our contract. So there's no reason why our deposit should be used for
to clean.
Right. They want the cleaning fee. They want all these things. And we would not be moving out had it not be for this natural disaster. Mm-hmm. So, that's pretty sucky. So throughout this process, how have we been coping? Lately, I found that, I know we mentioned this in the other video, but we've been coping the best way we know how. We've been trying to not keep our minds off of it, but we'll talk about it amongst each other, amongst our family, and then we'll leave it alone, and we'll go do something out in the day. It's no point in just sitting around moping or being sad. Or when we're sad, when something triggers it, then we'll allow ourselves to be sad. If we are needing sleep or water, we'll stay in and go to sleep. Yeah. And that's exactly what we've been doing.
Yeah, this time has been really important. When it comes to post-traumatic stress, I'm so thankful, so grateful that I have the ability to process this trauma not in the building. Yeah. Like, if I had to sleep in that building the next day, I really feel like I would be sick to my stomach. I really think that I wouldn't be able to.
Agreed. A lot of people were like us. After the earthquake, they left and did not return. Many content creators we know that we heard of in Thailand, they booked it. They're already on a flight somewhere else, or they went to a hotel. Some others are looking for a house as we speak, and I don't blame them. I know that the condo market will probably plummet because nobody is in the market looking for a condo, a high rise condo after what just happened.
Yeah.
You know, and this is probably going to negatively affect Bangkok. You know,
it's a real estate property.
Right at this time, I don't know how it's going to affect tourism, but are we planning to move? Are we planning to move back to the United States? And the answer is no. I have no desire to leave Thailand to go back to the United States. My honest opinion is this natural disaster, no one could have predicted it. Nobody could have prepared for it. Nobody could have done anything. And it is not Thailand's fault. It's not Myanmar's. It's no one's fault. This is just something that happens. And I'm not trading Thailand in because of a natural disaster.
Yeah. I think there was a point where we were just mourning not just what happened to us, but mourning the fact that we found a home that we really love.
Yeah.
We found a place that we really want to stay. And the fact that, you know, it had given us a certain level of safety that we were looking for, and now like a different version of that safety that we didn't even think about is now compromised. And so we've been mourning feeling that safety in a place that we've fallen in love with, and we don't want to leave Bangkok. Like, that is, if it's within our power, we would not leave Bangkok. We just know that with how we are processing things, we can't be in high rise. So we're allowing the universe and God to do what it do, because for some reason it had to shake us up and shake us out.
Yeah.
Because something else is on the horizon. We don't know what it is, and we can't really tell you what's next because we don't know what's next. Things have been coming up.
One thing's for sure is I know that the universe and I know that God is always looking out for me. And I know that everything, no matter how it looks to me, I know everything is working out for my favor. So, yes, that means natural disasters. Yes, that means unfortunate things. Everything is working out for your good. And I may not be able to explain it, but that's my deep faith. You may believe something else. But something good is going to come out of this. And one thing to keep in mind, I know that people are watching many different experiences when it comes to this earthquake. We all experience several different realities. Some people were in a restaurant when they felt the earthquake. Some people was in the shower. Some people was at home while their kids was at daycare. Some people were having babies in the middle of surgery.
I saw where the building kind of separated. A man jumped from one ledge over to the other.
Some people were literally fighting for their lives. And just because one situation sounds worse, or one situation had people in a far worse predicament, it does not mean to push aside one experience over the other. It does not mean to invalidate. Because all of these experiences are important. All of these experiences, we're all processing it in our own ways. So continue to be compassionate and continue to show your empathy when talking about things like this.
Or when just hearing someone else's perspective.
Right.
That hasn't, when we're sharing our experience on our social media.
People were comparing it to people. Like, people were comparing our experience to natural disasters in California. They were comparing our experience to their experience.
And minimizing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And just because it's not at a higher altitude, a higher magnitude, just because the earthquake didn't take place in Bangkok. And from your point of view, you're looking at the map and you're like, well, Myanmar is all the way right here. They couldn't have felt it in Bangkok. You were not here. You have no idea what we experienced. And since it's our first time experiencing this, it's not because this is not a situation where, they're babies. They need to experience 2 to 3 more earthquakes. They'll be all right. No, nobody should ever feel the ground shaking. Nobody should ever be displaced from their home. Nobody should ever feel like their life is about to end. And if you felt that, like,
you wouldn't be talking, and you wouldn't be trying to discredit us. Wouldn't try to be minimizing what we're doing or invalidate what we're saying, because at the end of the day, we thought we were going down.
And if you choose to process trauma however you choose to process it, by all means, do it. I understand why people use sleep, or people use food, or people use other means to help draw out, like, just to smear out whatever traumatic thing that's happened. I understand. Do what you need to do. Process it how you need to process it. If you need to talk to somebody, talk to somebody. If you need to write, if you need to jog, swim, however. But keep moving forward.
I can't imagine how difficult it is to process something like this, and also be by yourself.
Yeah.
Through it. I'm so thankful that I have you, that we both experienced it, that you completely understand.
Yeah.
You saw what I saw. We experienced the same thing, and that is something that
it would have been different if you were outside of the apartment and I was the only one in the apartment, and I experienced that by myself. Like, that would have been something we would have disconnected on. Like, I would have felt alone, or felt like, maybe if you were in a separate area and you went through completely, we would have been dealing with different traumas and how to process it through, because we had two different realities. Mm-hmm. And I guess I hear what you're saying. I'm glad that we were at the same place at the same time, where we can help each other to get out. Because I would have tried to go down the elevator and probably wasted so much time. And then who knows what would have happened. I'm just so glad that we're alive. But I wish that wasn't the constellation. Like, I wish that I didn't have to say I'm so glad
alive
that I'm right. Like,
prize.
It sounds so bad. Like, I am glad that I'm alive, but then I'm also not glad that I had to experience that. And it's like, other people had to experience something far worse, but then they're not alive. So it's just like, and then people saying, "Oh, your angels are all around you." Does that mean that the angels are not around the unfortunate people that was in Myanmar? Like this really had me thinking. Like, I'm not the same person I was a week ago. Like, we're completely different people. Anyway, this is how we're processing it.
So tomorrow we go back. I still am definitely dealing with shock and stuff. Like, last night there was a storm here in this where we're staying, but when I woke up, it just sounded like things were hitting the windows, or the windows were creaking, and then I went to the bathroom, and the blinds were shaking, and I just started panicking, thinking that, like, the where we are was about to, like, fall or something like that. And then I come out and it's dark already, so I don't have balance, and I'm like, am I moving? And so then I go to the window to look outside, and I just see that it's raining and windy.
Every person processes trauma differently. It looks differently. Somebody can be smiling and they're crying on the inside. Somebody can be crying. Like, you just never know. So what's been great for us while we're processing this is staying off social media. What has been really good for us is staying away from news outlets and news sites. At some point, it was news stories every hour, and it was beginning to be overwhelming. And I'm like, we need to process our own trauma before we take on anyone else's. Like, I was watching a video, and it recapped some of the popular TikTok videos of people and their experience, and what they looked at, what their apartment looked like after the disaster. And the two streamers, the two black dudes here in Thailand, who were like, "Oh, we're gonna die. What's that?" He's like, "Jalen, get your stuff. Let's go." When they got to the doorway and you saw them go from, like, entertainment mode to actually fearing for their life mode, it caused me to drop in tears. It caused me to want to turn off the video, because I had no idea I wasn't ready for that. It put me right back in my own apartment, right at the door frame. It put me back in my own trauma. And every time I talk about it, it makes me cry again. But stuff like that, knowing how to read your responses and read yourself and knowing what you need. And I just immediately had to say like, oh, nope, I'm not ready for social media. Like, I gotta stay off. Like, I know people experience far worse than what I did, but you know, this is still my worst. This is still my trauma. That is the worst that I've ever dealt with. So
one thing I do know is that this made us stronger. My legs are stronger. My arms are stronger.
yeah, luckily I've been training for Muay Thai for weeks now, and my body was in shape to like run down the stairs. I didn't have any soreness. A lot of people was talking about they were sore.
Yes, I really truly believe that, and this is going to be on the positive end. I really truly believe that God was speaking to us through us at times where we weren't even really thinking or paying attention. And
why you say that?
Like your dreams that you were having about packing up.
No. What's your experience?
My experience is, one, knowing where the stairway was, only because every morning only because I was going to my Thai culinary class in the morning, and seeing people work in the stairwell. I didn't know that I would have to know exactly where it was.
Yeah.
Two, for me, I've been getting messages of strengthen my legs, strengthen my lower back, strengthen my core. And this is where like that choice comes in, because I know that like I need my legs, I need them to walk, but Lord, did I need my legs that day to get me down 12 flights of stairs. When I got to the end of those flights, my muscles in my hamstrings were giving out. That's how weak and how that's how weak they were after all of that jumping and stuff like that down the stairs. So for me, I feel like that's how I was being told to prepare.
Yeah. I feel like you can interpret it however you want to, but one thing I know for sure is I had a dream a month ago about a panicky situation going on outside of my house. I was back in the United States in this dream, and I was living with my parents and my family inside this dream. And I remember that mayhem was going on. There were helicopters, military taking over the street, people looting, just panic going on. And I remember yelling at my parents, get your passport, pack a bag, let's go, put some non-perishables, and I remember them in the dream thinking that it was just a joke. They didn't take me seriously, and I was yelling at them, and I was just like, as a matter of fact, telling them exactly what to do. And when I woke up from that dream, I immediately called my mom. And honestly, I thought that was a warning for them, because in my mind, United States is going to go down before any other country. I don't know. That's just what I was thinking. And so, but I didn't think that message was for me. I don't know why. But when this earthquake happened and I ran out the house without anything, no phone, no car, no nothing, and I was just like, oh, these may be ways, these may be the signs where I'm actually being guided and talked to, and I need to not think these messages are for other people, but these messages are for me. So just take heed. And so I just, you damn right, I'm going to be listening to my dreams. And
you damn right that we're going to be having a to-go bag at the front door moving forward.
Oh yeah, it's always going to be there. A change of clothes, some, just one or two change of clothes, some nuts, or some, some cash, our passports, just important things that we need in there. It's definitely going to be in there. Well, anyway, we're okay for now. We're going to keep moving forward. If you know anything about us, we know how to keep moving forward.
And adapt.
How to keep it moving. Yeah. I'm just grateful and thankful. Thank you guys for your prayers. We've received so many messages and so many thoughts and best wishes from people, and we appreciate them so much. And y'all are really watching our journey, and this has been a crazy journey, but this is not going to stop us. We're on an assignment. We're here for a reason. We're not leaving Thailand. And we're definitely not going back to the United States
anytime soon. From if we had anything to do with it, but
Yeah, that's not the plan right now. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in another video.